Hi guys, I'm Katie Horvath. This is Into the City. I'm here today with Nathan Colquhoun. Nathan is running for a seat in the 2018 municipal election for a Sarnia City Councillor. Nathan's very well known in Sarnia, but why don't we start with telling us about what you do here and why you're running for council.
Sure. I grew up in Sarnia, was born and raised, moved back from school in Toronto and started a couple businesses. Storyboard Solutions, which is a marketing company, and then Refined Food Brewing Company, Burger Rebellion in Mexico. Started running some events here, and over my time since I've been back here for the last 12 years or so, I've just noticed and have been involved with the city a lot. And so when you start to notice things, you start to see inefficiencies, you start to see what could be done better, what you would do differently, and this just felt like the year that I wanted to start getting involved at kind of like a deeper level in the city, not just on the tourism side of things or drawing people here, which I think I've spent a lot of time doing, but also just get involved in the behind the scenes decision making processes that are going on, because I think I have a lot to offer to that.
Right, okay, fair enough. So you are very busy with all your businesses and things you do in the community, so what do you like to do on your downtime?
I travel a lot. I like to see the world. I like to see what other people are doing. I read a lot. I like to involve myself kind of on the intellectual level of the stuff that I'm involved in, whether it be business or philosophy. I like to do that. Play a lot of sports, especially in Sarnia, hockey, volleyball, frisbee. Spend time with my family.
Awesome.
A lot of friends.
All right.
Just like to hang out in Sarnia. It's a great place to hang out.
Just do it all, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So what is it about you, and you can comment politically, you can comment personally, you can comment business-wise, combination of all three if you want, but what is it about you personally that you feel would make you a good representative of the people here?
I think I've always in some way represented Sarnia, at least to the small amount of people that I interact with. I've helped move a lot of families here. I've always cared about Sarnia as a city and what's best for the city, not just my own interests in the city. And I think that I've proven that already in terms of my relationships and the things that I'm doing here, and I just kind of want an opportunity to be able to do that at a more formal level in what's going on. I'm not sure if that answers your question exactly, but kind of does.
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from. So we can move now into kind of some reflections on the current council. So the 2014-2018 term. Can you just comment in general on how you felt that this term went, maybe some things that were done well, some things that maybe you would have done differently?
It's difficult to talk about the council as a whole, being 9 people all kind of trying to work together. I think that there was some really low moments in terms of how certain members of our leadership were treating other people, and I think the council did the best that they could given what was the circumstances that were going on. I think there was not a ton of focus on contractor responsibility and communicating that to the public. We see that with Centennial Park, and that was really frustrating all along. And I think that I'm pretty skilled at being involved with other people and cooperating with them and all the different kinds of things that could go on. So I think they have some really good successes behind them. I think that they kept moving the city forward. They are introducing new things. They worked with nonprofits. They worked with businesses. And I think that it just needs to be done better now and kind of put the past behind us and start to focus on what we can do better moving forward.
Okay. So as you mentioned, there were some issues that council did have to face. Now, whether this is real or perceived, there is distrust between the citizens and City Hall now, just throughout this past 4 years. More so, I guess, the last 2. So what would you say to that, and what are some ways that you could maybe seek to restore the trust between City Hall and the people?
Transparency is a really big deal to me. Answering hard questions, not trying to smooth it over with, just public PR rhetoric. So being honest and being approachable, I think, is something that I offer, that I would like to bring to the table, and always having kind of a mind for making sure that things are being communicated as it's happening and ahead of time. the closed door meetings and these kinds of things that kind of like make everybody feel like decisions are being made on their behalf without them knowing what's going on. I think that stuff is just toxic in that kind of environment, and it just sort of multiplies and gets worse and worse, and it's really hard to backtrack on that. He said this, they said that.
Right.
So I think putting stuff out on the table right from the get-go is something that I would model myself and hopefully encourage for everybody else.
Right. Okay. Great. So you did kind of touch on a little bit too with Centennial Park. Now we've got the project's completed now. There's been a lot of events down there. People seem to be happy, I guess, with the way the park is, but there's still that, I guess, upset and frustration about the ballooning cost, more than double what they allotted for. So could you speak to that in terms of accountability and how you would manage something like that? You have a project and it's beginning to go over budget.
Yeah. From what I can understand about it, so much was sort of discovered as they sort of went on, and those things are really hard to avoid as an organization with a big budget, and they're trying to focus on a project and do good due diligence, and then things kind of keep showing up and it's as much as you can have legal accountability towards the kinds of things that you're working towards, and make sure that there's not backdoor clauses and loopholes that can be taken advantage of. I think that I don't know how to do that as a council necessarily. Like, I don't think they necessarily fail miserably. I don't know what they could have all of a sudden done differently. I think everyone just gets frustrated because that costs a lot of money, and you need someone to blame, and so it's the people spending the money that are to blame. And I know there could be a lot of better things done for accountability. Contractor accountability is like one of my platform kind of things. Like, I would want to monitor those kinds of relationships ahead of time and make sure that we're not being taken advantage of that way. And how that kind of goes, I guess it depends on what the projects are going to be in the future. And yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah. And it's a good point. There's a site that we dumped for a very, very long time and just buried stuff in that location. So it makes sense. Stuff comes up that you can't really account for in that kind of situation. So last question about current council, and it's because, it's relating to the fact that we are going to be coming up to this election where we don't have paper ballots anymore. So my question to you, obviously you have a media company, you have some forward-thinking business ideas, you're from my generation, you know that technology moving forward, this is the way that we're going. However, we do have an older population with a lot of upset about the change. Maybe they felt that they weren't, they're just not comfortable with it. So how could you kind of balance the two? Kind of the idea that we need to move forward, but we also have a large population in Sarnia that's uncomfortable with these changes. So could you speak to that move, I guess? Yeah,
I think, again, I mentioned this earlier, but like rolling out change well is very important. Preparing people for what's going to happen, like being transparent about the vulnerabilities. Like, technology has vulnerabilities that can be exploited very easily, and that makes people very nervous, and they're uncertain about what's going on. So to me, it's just a matter of like, I want to change, I want to be progressive, especially with technology, but going out of our way to communicate to people that aren't necessarily savvy in that, I think is very important. More so than stopping it just because, just educate people, communicate very well to people, and make the hard decisions to move the city forward.
So kind of just extra preparation when you're going to be making those changes. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So we'll get into now kind of the meat and potatoes of what you're running on. So we can start with you. Just tell me about your platform and what are some of the issues that you're going to be campaigning on.
I think a big part of my platform is the focus on bringing business into the city in a way that says that the city is being hospitable and welcoming to new ideas, but also citizens that have been around for a long time, and working with them and cooperating with them. With all the different businesses that I've been involved in and working with the city, there has been just frustration after frustration and feeling that you're dealing with a lot of bureaucracy and just people that aren't really interested in you succeeding and just more doing their jobs. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't know how you're going to do that. So creating and organizing systems so that they're very welcoming to people that want to get stuff done in the city and make the city a better place, and getting City Hall to cooperate with that and actually be a good tool for citizens to actually get done what they want to get done, rather than constantly bashing their head against the walls. Because that's what it feels like. The amount of stories that I hear from people, you know, even if they just want to go build a garage and getting a permit, like it's just nonstop story of like, I feel like I'm having to like, you know, enter a test and like navigate through all these red tape things, and simplifying that and trying to promote a culture where we're here for you and we want what you want because we are you, is something that's very important to me.
Awesome. So actually, I remember a little while ago, I was at a council meeting, and something that you guys were doing with your expansion was a topic, and it was packed. Like there was a ton of people there, and it was packed. So from your perspective, obviously you've been there trying to sort through all the bureaucracy, the red tape. Could you just give an example of something that's happened that you feel has been a barrier, whether it was a policy, a bylaw, just anything that you can give as an example to somebody who hasn't been there and could kind of understand?
It's a good question. I think right now we've actually had a pretty good relationship with the city in terms of our business and stuff. It's just really slow moving, and it's taken a long time to build that relationship, and I don't think it should take that long. I think that if somebody is coming in with an idea, they should have the tools at their disposal to navigate all the different things that are going on. So it took us, you know, paying a number, I think it was somewhere around $10,000 to put together a 60-page report and get an environmental study and do all these different kinds of things so that we could navigate all the different levels of the city, just to say, okay, you can do that there. And they said yes, and it was, you know, we had great public support. Everyone said yes to that, but the amount of effort that goes in just so that they can, you know, skim through a report and say yes after, just becomes very frustrating. And so I don't know, like I don't think that you can just flick a switch and all of a sudden fix that. I understand that systems are very complex and there's lots of things that people need to consider, but just bringing some more common sense into these kinds of things just to make simple changes would go, I think, a long way for most people that are trying to deal with the city.
Okay, great. So how can we attract, I know you're definitely known as a business guy in Sarnia, how can we attract new business here?
I think what I'm talking about here is actually doing that well, so that when they talk to other business owners, they're like, oh, this is the best city ever to start a business in. I know there's neighboring cities that have approached some of my businesses and said, you should work here, and we'll work with you from start to finish, and we will like, you know, we will waive fees, we will make sure that this is done for you, we will do this environmental report. Like they're just like marketing themselves as cities that want new business to come in there because they understand how positively that affects their city. And Sarnia doesn't do that. Sarnia just has not really come across as being friendly in that sort of way. And I think because if I can get on both sides of that equation, I think that I can bring a lot to making us more blatantly hospitable to everybody else that wants to start things in the city.
It almost seems like customer service from the government side.
The hospitality industry needs to kind of bleed into the government a little bit and just saying, hey, what can I do for you? Like, how can I help you navigate this? You know, showing up at City Hall can be a very intimidating thing when you just need to do a simple task, and you end up not knowing who to talk to, and you're getting pointed everywhere, and you're not sure what floor to go on. And so just kind of like taking some of those values that I've learned in the last number of years of business, I think that you know, putting that into the municipal government side of things would go a long way.
Great. So picture our city in the future. What do you envision for the next generation, and what's kind of your vision over, I know obviously if we're just talking about a 4-year term, but I'm talking like 20 years time. What would you like to see in Sarnia?
I think I would like to see a lot of people who, when they're younger and can't wait to get away from the city, actually move back and say, oh, this is totally the place where I want to raise my family. This is where I want to be. This is what's going on. And so I have a very long-term vision for the city in terms of it being the kind of place that I want to raise a family, the kind of place that I actually want to be, and not have to run away to discover my dreams and to like live somewhere else. Because it's hard everywhere you go. But Sarnia has like a lot of things going for it. It's very affordable. It's very low barrier for starting businesses. I could not have started a brewery in Toronto. The cost would have been, through the roof, and we started with $400 a month rent in a downtown place.
Wow.
So I think that when you kind of show what is possible and give people a vision of the potential of what's going on, then it does make it more attractive. And more I'm hearing people who have left, when they come back to visit or something, like, this is not the city that I left. This is actually much better. Downtown is taken off. Like, people seem to have a pride in the city that they didn't have before. And I want that momentum to keep going in that direction.
Awesome. So you did mention downtown. What are your thoughts about Mitten Village revitalization? Any thoughts about that area?
Yeah, it's great. I think one of the things when I first moved back to Sarnia in 2006 was we moved right downtown, and it was a ghost town. There was, most of the places were boarded up, not sure what was going on. Even us moving down there, people were like, what are you doing here? Yeah. This doesn't make any sense. And very quickly we started seeing more and more people move there, more and more people care about it and make it their own. Artists were starting to do things down there, businesses were starting to pop up. And it's that same sort of pride of ownership that I think could happen in Mitten Village very quickly. You have, people buying the buildings and starting their own businesses downstairs and living upstairs. And as soon as you kind of got that shared ownership and those relationships going on, I think it does really good things for the surrounding community. And you start to see things like First Friday that is bringing out thousands of people once a month. I'd love to see Mitten Village start doing that and actually making it a place that is a desirable place to go to, which it's having a hard time right now. I live 2 blocks from Mitten Village, so I understand all the struggles that it's going through, but I think that what it's going to take is some citizens who are working with their city and taking ownership over it and making it something that they're proud of. And the same thing will happen to Mitten Village that will happen to downtown if those kinds of people put their care into it.
Awesome. So it's no secret we've got an issue with drugs in our community, opioid crisis. We have a huge mental health crisis, suicide epidemic as well. I know a lot of these issues is on a provincial funding level. We're just not getting the funding to provide services for some of these people and situations. Can you comment on what we could do on a local level, and just what are your thoughts on this side of our society?
Yeah, I think that there is a real problem with sort of I don't know if you would call it class barriers or something. You have a south end and you have a north end. You have kind of a more poor area and you have a more affluent area. And I think one of my personal goals has always been to try to break that divide by moving into areas that my class might not say that I should be in. So that was one of my commitments to actually living in the South End, is saying I don't want to just move to an affluent area because I am affluent. I think the best way to get healthier communities is for there to be a lot of overlap and build relationships with different classes than you are. And that's something I learned from something like Lambton Circles that I was part of since the very kind of early stages, is you kind of join a circle, you me as a middle class guy ends up getting partnered with someone from generational poverty, and you end up building relationships with that family, and you end up using some of the tools to benefit them, and you learn so much from them that you need to learn to benefit as well from. So I think from my perspective, it's trying to build relationships with anyone and not just people from my own that look exactly like me.
Right.
And by doing that, you're opened up to so many opportunities for how things can actually change in communities. So you start to actually put some of your effort and care into things that you might not have if you didn't have those relationships. And when you start to get entrepreneurs and you start to get community leaders and nonprofits starting to focus and have that kind of overlap in that cross kind of barriers that way, then I think you actually start to see healthier communities grow from that. And so, to me, it's a very relational problem. It's not so much a programming government problem at all. And it takes leaders to actually go and take the risks and, be around people that they're nothing like.
That's great. And just good old-fashioned human connection.
Yeah. Have bonfires with your neighbors in the South End, and you just learn something very different about the world. And to me, it's a very I don't know, it relaxes me a little bit, because I know what these problems are. I know what all the drug problems are, and because they're my neighbors, and my neighbors are concerned as well. It's not just my neighbors who have the drug problems. It's my neighbors that are concerned that there's some serious hurting going on where we live, and we want to see people improve as well. And it can't just be a bunch of programs running. It actually does take, looking somebody in the eye when they need help and giving them some help. And so it's something that I've chosen, and I think that we need more people to care about it in that kind of way. Not just throw their money at it, but actually throw their time and relationships into it as well.
It's like empathy versus sympathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. That's excellent. So we're just about towards the end here. What can I expect, not just me, what can we expect if you are elected? And why should we vote for you? What can we expect?
I think you can expect me to be vocal about my values and what I think will benefit the city the most. I think you can expect me to be transparent and honest. I'm not one to say something because I think people want to hear it. I more speak from my heart, and I'm pretty straightforward. Like, I'm not like a very legalese kind of like person. I can use simple language. I don't have a lot of big words in my vocabulary. So I think that I can, just help push the city into a direction that I think that we all want.
Okay. So that is it for questions that I have for you. I just want to give you an opportunity. If there's anything else that you want to mention, and what is kind of your final message for anybody that may be watching this and for the people of Sarnia?
Like I've always been saying that I haven't going to be campaigning very much because I feel like I've been campaigning for 12 years since I've been back in Sarnia. Not going to be putting up signs everywhere and knocking on doors. And that might sound like kind of like a cop-out a little bit, but really I think that if you like the things that I've been saying all along, like I've been vocal politically, I've been vocal in columns in the paper, I've got businesses that are going on, and if you like those kinds of things, and I get involved in city council, I think that you'll start to see more of those things kind of being looped into my role at city council. So if you don't like those things, don't vote for me. And if you do, vote for me.
All right, awesome. Good answer. Thanks very much for coming down and talking today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Again, that was Nathan Colquhoun. And just like Nathan said, if you like what he said, vote for him October 11th through the 22nd. If you don't like what he said, you don't have to.